Okay,
Pablo, thank you so much.
no problem. All right, I'll let you guys go. Have a good meeting.
Thank you. We will.
All right, have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Take care, Pablo. Everybody, we have a 7:30 start. So if you're here, you are not late. Um, so in fact, you're early. So if you can just hang on.
Hello, I thought that this meeting was at 7 o'clock. My name is
You,
Bob.
hey, Bob, you are correct. We sent out a correction today, but much too late for 90% of the people. So I apologize. We're just going to tread water, if you don't mind, for about
Okay,
15 more minutes, but glad to have you.
I'm used to being a 90%er. I'm quite comfortable with that, but I'm going to sign off and come back at 7:30.
There you go. Thank
All
you,
right.
Bob.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Who was that?
Oh, I think
Who was
Jody
it that
told-
was talking?
a person named Bob who said he's going to come back in a few minutes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Bob Spalter.
No.
Jody!
Karen!
Jody.
I wasn't gonna turn my video on. I still have my cleaning clothes on.
That's okay. We can't really tell. Cleaning clothes, you know, it's just the head that we see.
I'm
Yeah.
turning it back off so it's not in the video. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Jody.
Jody, Eric's going to come on first. I'm going to shift our agenda because he wants to announce curbside. So I hope he's here for 7:30. I told Lorenzo, so you will get a chance to talk about the new counting. So thanks a lot.
I'm not talking about it.
Okay.
I'll leave Enzo and Eric to talk about it. I educated them on what was going on and they jumped on it. So
Great.
it's now better.
Good. Okay. I'm going to, it's always good to have a printout of the agenda in front of you.
Yep.
Okay. Excuse me, everybody. I'll be right back. Karen, the stormwater management plan uses Town and Gown, Brooklyn College, to develop its modeling.
That's good.
I know.
Oh, there was a hearing this morning, this afternoon. I listened to part of it. I didn't listen to the whole thing. I might go back and redo it. Everybody was there.
Oh, yeah.
It was somebody from the Mayor's Office of Climate Change and Resiliency, the DEP Commissioner, Angela, and Liam was there.
Wow.
And
On the subject of flooding?
Maggie, on the subject of climate change and flooding, Maggie Greenfield was there, Merritt was there, and Paul was also speaking. But
Our Paul? Who Paul?
yeah, Paul. And the chair of that subcommittee, whatever, he was like really badgering the lady from climate change.
Wow.
Yeah. But the commissioner was really good. I mean, I even called Effie.
Really?
Yeah. I said, he can't believe it. You know, they're finally saying all the words that we asked them to say.
Exactly.
He actually convinced the, we shouldn't be talking because now we're recording, right?
Here we are.
But he actually said that he convinced the DOT to use porous pavement everywhere.
I see that. That's part. I'm going to go over their plan, their new normal plan, and that's
everybody, including the lady from the mayor's office, talked about the daylighting. I mean, daylighting is like,
I know,
it's like the big deal now.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
We'll bring that up, Karen, again, if you don't mind. When we report on daylighting today. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, so we're going to daylighting, and then when am I going to talk about the survey and the working group? Is that
Why don't we keep it under flooding?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, bring it up under
I
flooding.
can just mention the action. Like, I want to change the action notes for the working group, and then go on to the flooding. Is Deb coming to the meeting?
Deb should be here. Deb never misses.
I called her, she didn't call me back.
We also have to welcome a new member today. I forgot his name.
Oh, who's the new member?
Wow. So Paul was there. That's amazing. I didn't know about this hearing.
Neither did I. And
Yeah,
I was listening to the renewables hearing.
Yeah, how was that?
By the way, I spoke because I couldn't take it anymore. First of all, I registered. I told you I registered, but I didn't want to speak because I had nothing to say. And then
That's hard to believe.
I know, but these people were like all talking up from upstate New York and even Orange, up in Valley Cottage, right across the bridge. And they had so many complaints to the public service. They sounded like us. How could you have approved this? This is, they just went on and on, that I felt compelled to put my 2 cents in because it was all upstate.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say we have the same feelings. And I told them who we were. I explained all the things. We haven't really made a judgment on any of these things, but we agree with all what everybody else said, that this project was, the Chippy project has serious problems.
Yep.
And they asked for an amendment to put a converter station in someplace around Albany. And they were like,
in addition to the one, in addition
Yes.
to the amendments of April? Wow.
Yes. And they were like, why would you do that? Don't give them any amendments. You already approved this thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And these people were like, it was a WebEx, so it was very hard. People couldn't get on. Then they couldn't get you off. One man kept saying, you have to mute yourself. I'm like, I am muted. Now I'm talking to him. I am muted, but I wasn't muted because it was muted on my screen, but not on his.
Oh,
So
my
he
God.
just got rid of me, I felt I had to talk about it. And I was like, we're worried about the 2 rivers, the Hudson and the Harlem, and you're going over on, at the bottom of Mott Haven. And that's not right. nobody measured, and everybody was saying the same thing about the EIS.
They never had one, ever, and they won't.
No, right. I said, and not only that,
Oh my God.
in the redacted statements, the maps never showed anything in the city of New York at all. It was like a big blob. So, the other glasses.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
I amended the minutes in my, on my sheet. Do you want me to tell you about the minutes?
We have to amend, we have to
2
vote for
months.
both June and September. Yeah.
It's June 17th. I looked that up. Oh. I can't vote on that because I didn't go to those minutes. I didn't go to there.
Okay. June 16th, Karen.
Oh, yeah?
Wednesday,
All right.
June 16th. Yep.
Okay.
2 more minutes, everybody. I apologize. Bob, welcome back. I'm glad you're back. You're good as your word. Bob, what is your last name?
Armistead.
Hey, Bob Armistead. How you doing? I feel like we know each other.
I think we've been in meetings in these boxes before.
Okay, so I am going to be looking for everybody, members of our committee for a quorum. And as of
What
now,
time?
I don't have 7:29.
Right.
Okay. So we can't be approving anything.
No.
So Deb, Courtney,
You are 2 of the most prominent party members in the state. So who gets your vote for governor, Mr. Sweeney? No one at this point. That is a
you
primary
make sure that,
process. It's
please-
weighted with
please
Democrats
mute
and
yourself,
Republicans.
the
Let's
person
see
with
how
the
it
TV in
turns
the
out. Who
background.
did you vote for governor?
Thank you. Okay. Okay, now I will officially convene our meeting. My camera is on and my microphone is on, and I wanted to welcome you to the September meeting of the
No.
Environment and Sanitation, the October meeting of the Environment and Sanitation Committee. I'm just admitting people, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit distracted for a second. My name is Robert Finuzzi and I am the chair. And I just wanted to pause and make a quick survey of members who are here so that we can form a quorum. I'm still allowing some people in. Okay, we do not have a quorum, but I can proceed with business that doesn't need a vote. So I'm going to give my chair's report. And this is my first first committee member meeting of the season. So first I want to thank my committee member, Karen, and also Deb Travis for carrying on without me last September for our first meeting of the season. Thanks very much. It's really good to be here. Because this is the first meeting, I did want you to get to know your committee. That committee is not here right now. So I will introduce myself, and Karen, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Karen Argenti. I'm a member of the committee as a community member, and I'm also on the board of directors of the Bronx Council for Environmental Quality.
All right, thanks, Karen. And I introduced myself. I'm also a member of the board of the Bronx Council of Environmental Quality. Um, this is my second tour of Environment and Sanitation, chair for Community Board 8, and I've also been chair of the board. So this is my 15th year, I think, on the board. Pretty, say what you will about that. Hold on, just admitting people still. There's Ramdad, looks like Rosemary is here. So I wanted to prevail upon our community board chair, Laura, and I don't know the name of the new member. Could you remind me of that person's name so I can make sure to have them introduce themselves if they are here?
Sure, let me just get my list. As Osvaldi.
Okay, don't see him. Thank you. Thanks, Laura. Okay.
Okay.
So as of now, everybody, we don't have a quorum unless I'm waiting for, I have 4 community board committee members. I'll need 3 of those to have a quorum tonight. That would include our new member,
That's Osvaldi Jimenez.
Vali. That would include our vice chair from last year, Courtney, and Deb Travis, who's not here yet. So I can't proceed with the first order of business on our agenda for tonight. So I'm going to be continuing with my chair's report. Community Board 8 is very happy to be welcoming a new sanitation superintendent in our district. So I learned that this week. Important to mute yourself, please. I have to be able to hear myself. Thank you. And so we look forward to working with them. And I also wanted to say that Con Ed has been working on a few gas leaks in our area. One on Arlington Avenue and one on Palisades. So I believe that work is done right now. So I also wanted to change the order of our meeting just for a second. Sorry, I'm still admitting people. To allow the representative of our council member, Eric Dinowitz, to bring us some good news. Many of you may know that this committee has really been one of the leaders citywide for curbside composting. We were one of the first districts to have curbside composting to begin with. And as this program has been on the chopping block through various budget cycles, our voice has been really important. So I'm very proud that a member of our community board is now our city council member, and working with Department of Sanitation, our city council member has done something new to really help our board continue its engagement with composting. So am I right that Lorenzo is here from Councilman?
Yeah, hey Bob, Enzo
How are you,
here.
Lorenzo? How you doing?
Good.
Lorenzo, I'm going to ask you to make an announcement. I have you down in the agenda, but since this is an important commitment from the council person, I wanted to ask you to make your announcement and to share this news.
Of course. Hi everyone, I'm Enzo. I'm a constituent advocate for the council member. And basically, we divided our office by community boards. So basically everything community board 8 related, whether it's constituent cases or the meetings, it is me attending to it. So, coming into the district, I found out, how popular curbside composting was, and that, the district was lucky to have it in the past. And so once you heard that curbside composting was coming back, it was the council members' priority to make sure that we got the word out, just because, of course, residents would not be automatically eligible for curbside composting. So signups would be required. Some of the things that we did to make sure that we got the word out is, of course, constantly including that information on our social media. We put out numerous newsletters that included information about curbside composting. And of course, the partnership with Department of Sanitation was very important. So, when this all began, we worked with Department of Sanitation, with BCEQ, with the Riverdale Nature Preservancy, with Community Board 8, and with Riverdale Neighborhood House. And we had a composting educational seminar and sign-up event. So we had several representatives from the community over there, including some master composters as well. So it was a very educational, fruitful meeting that we had, and it really allowed everybody to get a better understanding of what the rollout for curbside composting will be like. And at the same time, so as we were trying to get curbside composting signups in the district, we were saddened to hear that our community board was not included in the early rollout for October. But just after pushing a little bit more, getting more signups there, we were lucky enough to hear last week that finally our community board is the first community board in the Bronx to have curbside composting eligible in our area. So just a few more updates in regards to the rollout for this. So it includes the entire community board. For those who did not sign up previously, you could still sign up if you want to be included in the rollout for the first week of November 29th. The deadline for that will be October 25th. So if you do sign up after October 25th, probably your address would be included in the routes on January and not the soonest rollout for the community board, which would be the first week of November. And before anything else, the Department of Sanitation will be sending out notifications for those who signed up to curbside composting around mid-November. So before anything else, before assuming that, first week of November, the week of November 29th comes, it's time to put out the composting bins, wait to get notified by the Department of Sanitation as to when the exact date of the first pickup will be. So, all of that together, we're just so happy that we were able to get curbside composting at the community board. Thank you so much, Bob, to the community board for, helping get the word out, for your partnership. And, so for now, we're just hoping anybody else who's interested, we still make sure that they know they got to sign up and they could be part of the program. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Lorenzo. So you may have heard that at first we were not counted as having enough participants because we didn't have enough addresses, but those individual addresses had tons of people, and now we are. So I want to thank the councilman's office and all those who helped from sanitation to make this happen. So thanks a lot. Any questions about curbside composting before we move on? So that's an item on our agenda that we moved up. Okay. Still looking for a quorum here for our committee. And
Hey, Bob, this is Deb. I'm here.
good. You and I are here, but we also need one more person from our committee because who's a community board member. So that's the new member of our committee, Isvaldo, who's not here yet. So we can't do our minutes from September or from June yet. So I'm going to hold on that. And I'm just checking down here to see if this new member is here. And Courtney is not here either. She's our community board member. Apologize for this housekeeping little issue, everybody. I have to make sure we have a quorum of our community board members. So I'll move on. So on our agenda is an item called the Water Working Group. And the Water Working Group dates from this committee about 6 years ago when it was formed for two reasons. One, because this committee really saw an incredible opportunity and need to focus on stormwater management, wastewater management, flooding, et cetera, in our district. And it was always built around the idea of trying to mitigate with green infrastructure. So that Water Working Group has periodic reports and has done all kinds of research for us throughout these years. And furthermore, it was also a opportunity to create a community forum within our board, within our committee, to allow members of environmental organizations to report on a regular basis, community members as well. So it's now time for an update from that water working group. And the subject of the update that we'll talk about is daylighting with Tibbetts Brook. So Bronx Council on Environmental Quality was invited to a meeting with Department of Environmental Protection over the summer to discuss the DEP's plans for daylighting. And I am now going to ask Karen. I was there as a member of BECQ, and Karen Argenti, who was also a member of BECQ, to I'm going to let Karen talk about this so I can maintain the meeting. We were there and we heard about DEP's plans for daylighting, and we wanted to share them with you right now. This being our
Can you share, can you let me share the screen?
Sorry, how do I do that? I'm going to make you the host, right?
I don't know how you,
Yep.
you do that.
You're the host now.
No.
Yeah, it says host right next to you.
All right, so
Just a second.
I have to disable the screen. Anybody know how to do that?
Can you minimize it?
No, I can't let myself in. Let me see. Let me go to video. Well, I don't know how to do it. I can make you the host if you know how to do it. Do you know how to do it?
Do you want to send it back to me? Send what you are going to present to me in an email and I can show it.
No, I don't think you can show it either. I'm the host and I can't show anything.
Host disabled participant screen sharing. So I can't share it now because you have to make me the host again, Karen.
All right. I'm trying to do that.
If you want me to do that, I guess you can send me what you wanted to
How
present.
did you make me the host? What did you do?
I went to more next to your name.
It just says pin.
This is really bad. I see that too.
I can't.
And Karen, how come you can't get the, it just says pin? Yeah, what the hell was,
Raise hand.
I'm really sorry, everybody. This hasn't happened before. We switched back and forth between hosts 100
Well,
times.
I can just read the presentation to you. It's not going to be as good because I can't show you a map. And also I am now the host, which means I don't know what it means.
Karen,
Yes,
are you on a computer or a tablet?
I'm actually on both, but I am looking at the
Okay,
computer.
so
We'll
on the
work that
computer, if you click on the share options, you might be able to see advanced options and toggle screen sharing back on.
Nothing. I'm getting nothing except host disabled participant screen
That's what
sharing.
I get too. I get disabled screen sharing too when I try to go to share screen.
Did you right click on it?
Oh, okay. Let me try that. No,
Same thing. Well, this is
Nothing.
really terrible. I mean, the whole.
No, only the host can do it. So if you right click on share, you should be able to see advanced options.
I'm no longer the host, Karen, so.
I'm the host, but I can't see anything. It's not on participants. I don't know what apps is. I don't know what apps.
Karen, is it possible that you're the host on the other, like you're on two places, on the iPad and on the computer? Is it possible you're host on the
Oh,
other?
maybe I'm on the other host. Okay, all
Yeah.
right, that's. How do I
So
do
all I
this?
get, Deb, when I right click is pin on more, which always used to give me the freedom to ask for a host
This is
for it.
funny, I can see it on my Zoom.
We need Courtney here.
No,
Need a quorum.
I don't know what happened. Now you can, now I lost me. Okay. Screen. But it's not showing anything. Okay. Photos, iCloud, Dropbox.
I never saw anything like this. Everybody, I'm really sorry. Never went through this before.
Let me go to participants. Where's participants? And so I can make
So-
you.
So over there,
I'll-
Karen, are you on
I'm
your
gonna
iPad?
admit, let me admit Dan. And now let me see if I can, yeah, right. So obviously it's on my iPad. Okay, Bob, I'm gonna make you the host. Okay, I made you the host again, so you can take care of that. So I still don't
I am
think
I'm the host now. Let me see if I can now share the screen. Okay, you made me the host. Okay, now I can share the screen. I can do this now. Can anyone, Karen, can you send me what you've prepared, please?
Okay,
Just give me a second, everybody. Again, I apologize.
it's actually, it's on Google. Can I share it with you? You want me to do the link?
I guess so, yeah. You're gonna send it
I'm gonna send you the
to
link.
Gmail?
Yeah. Think.
Okay. In the meantime, we're still seeking a quorum. I'm looking for our new board member, our new committee member, and I'm looking for Courtney to constitute a quorum.
Okay, I sent it. It's gonna be on email.
Am I muted?
Not coming through. Here we go, okay. All right, everybody, I am here with you. I also see that, is that Eric Dinowitz who's arrived? Okay, I'm going to share my screen now.
Okay,
Thank you. Okay, Karen, everybody, can you see
Okay.
this?
yeah, can you press present?
Um,
You
Where do I
see
do
where the
that?
share, where the orange share is on the upper right-hand side,
upper right.
next to it is present?
Yep, okay. All right,
Okay, good. Hi, everybody. This is a picture of, okay, I was gonna explain that picture. That's a picture of the rainstorm after Ida. To the left is where the weir is. You don't see the weir, but there's like a platform that many of us have stood on there. You're looking at the walk that goes to the weir, that we walk on to the weir, which is the dam. And you can see it was completely washed off all the way over to the right. There was in that area over there that you can see some green stuff on the floor. There was a bench there. The water was so strong that it came down, it knocked the bench off the concrete. It was a metal bench attached to the concrete and threw it 5 feet. I was in the park like 2 days afterwards, and I couldn't believe how far it went. Next slide, Bob. So our overall goal, meeting with the DEP, was to lower the discharge from the big outfall, which takes in most of Community Board 8. It's called WI for Wards Island 056. And that's the largest of the 72 outfalls on the Harlem River. It has half the discharge of all of the others. We would also want to implement the daylighting of Tibbetts Brook project as a open waters long-term control plan. The people refer to the plan as either combined sewer overflow or CSO, but it's really a long-term control plan on how to deal with the fact that you have outfalls that discharge water in the rain. And we also are interested in an environmental greenway along the CSX property. And these are just a couple of reports that were done either by BCQ or by the city or the DEP or the Parks Department, all about daylighting and the Harlem River and Tibbetts Brook. Next slide. Bob.
Sorry, I'm trying to get a quorum here. Sorry.
Okay, so we've been working on this project since 1997 when Gail Whitwer, who did some beginning drawings for this, identified this as a very important project. And then we continue to try to get this done by working on our with the funding that we got for the watershed plan, which is in the neighborhood, which includes all of Van Cortlandt Park and most of Community Board 8. Next slide. This is a map. Many of you may have seen it. The whole outline, both the gold and the red, is Tibbetts Brook watershed. So it takes in a large part of Westchester. You see where the red is? That's the part that's in Van Cortlandt Park. You can see little Jerome Park Reservoir sort of hugging the edge of it. And all the rest of it, more than like maybe 2/3 of the whole Tibbetts Brook watershed, is actually in Westchester. So we get a lot of water from that, and just think about it, you know. Next slide. So all the way over to the left, if you could put your arrow, Bob, to the left,
Yep.
is in the park. And originally, when we had this meeting with the DEP, we were in the middle of having a lot of discussions with other environmental groups who had written a letter to the state. Well, let me back up a little bit. So the combined sewer overflow plan, which included the daylighting of Tibbetts Brook, finally, which is the biggest part of the whole plan for the Harlem, Hudson, East River, and the Long Island Sound. The only thing that they're doing, that DEP is doing, is taking care of the daylighting projects, because it's the largest green infrastructure project that they have in the city of New York. So they came in, and you see the little orange line over there on the top map towards the left. That orange line is in the park. And so we said, well, what does that mean? Well, we're gonna make a little valve there, and we're gonna pipe the water from the lake up until the CSX property starts. And we're like, well, that's not daylighting. We like to see it in the park. We want to be able to, like, you know, see it here. Oh no, we can't do that. Anyhow, there was a lot of other meetings after that, or phone calls. People talked about it, and finally, the Parks Department decided. Well, they work together. They really need to make an MOU. That would be easier way for us to understand what's happening. But eventually it took, I don't know, sometime in late August when they got rid of that, and they decided that the plan would be to have the daylighting. That little orange section is going to be open, and we'll be able to look at it. And it will be a pathway that will lead to the blue line, which is from 240th Street all the way to 230 West 230th Street in Community Board 8. And after that, it's orange again, meaning it's going under the ground. And so that's the second problem, but we don't have to deal with that now. The line underneath is the topography. So you see how it's high in the park, starting on the left side, where that first orange thing is, which is not there anymore. And then it's going pretty much straight. They made it straight. So it's a little raggedy. They made it straight. And then it goes down when we get past 230th Street. And that even makes like a little right-hand turn to get to the water. It's going to be, I can't remember, but I think it's going to be piggybacked on WI 056, but whatever water gets there, they don't really have an idea of how quickly it's going to get there. So next slide. Bob. Okay, so this is from the plan that the Parks Department did a couple of years ago. We also supported this project. It was basically, we didn't have anything to do with the project. We just wrote a letter of recommendation for a grant that they got. And this talks about, the direction of the water and where it would go and how you would take it. And next slide. And this shows the topography. So it's a very difficult task to get it down there. So the easiest way is if you were walking towards the weir and you wanted to figure out how to get it down, they're on the other side of the dam. First, one side is the water from the lake. On the other side of the dam is a very big wetland. It's kind of low. And so they're going to let the water go out and kind of flood that area. And then it'll go catch up to the other part of the Putnam Trail as it goes south. And the Parks Department has funding now to do they put in for funding in September. I don't know if they got the funding. We'll all find out. And that funding is to do the work in the park so that the Parks Department is working in the park and doing the stuff that they want to do. I think the DEP, we didn't get that far. We'll be doing a giant valve in the wall of the dam, so the water can go from one side to the other, and it will flood the wetland area. I think it's that green area here. That's sort of like between the two things. I can't use the thing, and then it'll travel to the CSX property. Next slide. So I've heard that the estimate is about $140 million at this point, that the Parks Department has 20 million, give or take, who knows? It depends on negotiations. And that this includes all the funds to plan, purchase, and design and I think it must be construction. It's construction also, I wrote that. We've been asking some of our elected officials to look for some sustainability monies too, because there are parts of it, the project that won't be like so great. We'll have the environmental greenway. That'll mean it'll be porous pavement, because now everything's going to be porous pavement in the city. The DEP commissioner was on a hearing this afternoon. I listened to part of it, and so he mentioned the daylighting of Tibbetts Brook, and he also mentioned these are things that they're doing to, abate the problems of Ida, which we'll discuss later, but I'll just mention it now. So he talked about that and how everything is going to be porous pavement so that we could, hold the water until it, everything else dries up, and then and let the water go soak into the ground and infiltrate. And we'll also be discussing the mayor's the plan for the new normal. Next slide.
Later on today. Yep.
Yeah. Is there another slide? Oh, yes. So it's not only daylighting Tibbetts Brook, but it's creating an environmental greenway for all. Next slide. Just want to let everybody know that, in case you don't know, the Empire State Trail which goes to, this is the trail. You can see that it goes all the way straight up to Montreal. And and it also cuts across the, to Buffalo on the Erie Canal. But it now goes, it is the Putnam Trail for us. And so if you go on the Putnam Trail, you can just ride or walk. I would prefer to ride your bike up to Montreal or Albany or Buffalo. Next slide.
Karen, I just want to add that on behalf of BCQ again, that we are endeavoring to designate the Harlem River branch of the Greenway as an Empire State Trail. Right now, the
Yes,
Hudson River
It's gonna be next. It's
Trail
gonna
is
be
designated. I'm sorry.
right,
Okay.
it's gonna be next. So
Yeah.
this is the trail. Right now, the Empire State Trail in New York City goes along the west side. And then, and you could see where the number 2 is, then it meanders until it gets to Van Cortlandt Park, which is number 3. And when it's meandering over, it's not even going straight. You can see that that's a problem. So if we can get the number 3 to go straight down along where the CSX property is, and then also continue along the rest of, because we're advocating for a greenway all along the Harlem River, and we're pretty much there. It's a lot. It's in the planning stages, piece by piece, but at least get to Roberto Clemente State Park. Then it becomes an alternative way to get from here to there. Next slide. I think that's it.
Great.
Yes.
All right. So before we take questions on this incredibly important subject, I wanted to welcome Courtney to our meeting and ask to do some committee business. I will first ask to approve the minutes of June 16th, 2021, the ENS committee meeting of June 16th. Do I have a second on that motion?
I second it. Yeah,
All those in favor?
in favor.
Great, thank you.
Favor.
Now I'd like to turn to the minutes of September.
I have to abstain.
Okay,
I
you're
will
abstaining
abstain.
from the minutes, so we're doing
Right.
2 minutes here. You're abstaining from June. Okay.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to make a motion to amend the minutes of September to include the following: that there not being a quorum to approve the minutes of June, that no approval of the minutes was taken. So I am now going to make that amendment to the September minutes and ask for a motion to approve the September minutes.
I make a
All those-
motion.
Great. All those in favor?
I
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. So as of now, I'd like to turn questions back to the presentation from the Water Working Group. I'd like to go back, Karen, to the place where we talk about the Community 8 impacts, and I'm sure people have a lot of questions. So let's have your questions. Go ahead, and just please raise your hand. Rosemary, please. Hi.
Hi, is it, you're calling on me, Bob?
Yes, I am. Go ahead, Rosemary, please. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, as I have said for some period of time now, a short period of time, this was to be a joint meeting with Parks to discuss anything having to do with CSX, not the daylighting in Van Cortlandt Park, although that should the Parks Committee, I know would be interested, I'm sure, in participating in that. But CSX, the CSX property and acquisition and what is going to happen to it is a matter of, I don't want to use the word extreme, high level of importance for this community board. I do not know of any project in the 13 years I've been on the board that is so significant for this community board than this project. It was the first ULURP I participated in.
Yeah.
And that ULURP said nothing about daylighting. That ULURP said it was going to be a greenway, a pathway, a bikeway, that there would be landscaping, and benches and lighting, like the High Line in Manhattan, and that it would connect at 3 separate locations to the community, the retail, commercial community, and the residential community at 3 separate locations. It was recreational, it was green, and it was something that everybody was looking forward to. What has taken so long is the acquisition. As we trip across this information waiting for acquisition, it came out in a series of emails that were delivered to the community board that there has been active design of the Greenway, active design, to the point where they are even able to judge the construction cost of $20 million. I am telling you, Bob, design is far along if you're able to give a construction cost estimate. Number 2, there are the email that we received said DEP gave the presentation to BCEQ and members of the board, not the opposite way, that DEP gave the presentation. It was at that point that it was decided by the chair of this board that there would be, that E&S and Parks would handle this issue of CSX, and that there would be a joint meeting of those 2 committees. What I am highly interested in seeing is that the 2 city agencies make a presentation to this board. If the chair wants to change it from Parks and to whatever committees is given to, I would very much like to see the city agencies make a presentation of what they've been doing and precisely what design they are putting forward for the CSX property. And I expect that to come in very short order. There is no reason why the community board cannot now, for the first time in 13 years, get involved with what the 2 city agencies have been doing. Thank you.
Rosemary, great, thank you. I agree with everything you said. What we're showing you was that DEP meeting that did have impact about the routing of daylighting within Van Cortlandt Park. And I will say that I never heard at that meeting about CSX. That wasn't the parks people who deal with the CSX acquisition wasn't there. I don't have any updates on that. And traditionally that's been the Parks Committee. That's been the committee that deals with parks acquisition issues because they are the lead on that. So, but it is incredibly frustrating. And Laura and I and Ramdot and Bob Bender have been in contact really since the last board meeting to talk about the plan that should be a joint meeting, because this is a unified plan, okay, that takes us from the park, from the weir, if everybody knows what I'm talking about, south of the lake to 25th Street. So that is our district, and these 2 agencies do have to work together. And we have heard from DEP, but we haven't heard from Parks, okay? And we have a custom of having joint meetings, which we had, Laura, I think about 5 years ago. And we are endeavoring to do that again. Laura, the chair of the board is here, Laura Spolter. I just wanted to confirm with you, Laura, that that is something that we need to do and that we have to do. We're giving you just a little piece of DEP's what we know from DEP and from the Water Working Group, but we really need that form. We really need the latest overview of where we are. And I don't know, Rosemary, to answer your question about when, it should happen now. I also know they're in the middle of acquisition talks and they get very jittery, okay, about making things public and all in the middle of acquisition because it could affect the negotiation. I'm really not privy to those, and it's very frustrating to be on the outside of this.
Then where does that information come from, Bob? Where does that information come from that they're jittery? Why doesn't the city?
Because they haven't responded to our, let's talk about it. So they, that's just my surmise because we're not able to get that meeting. So
Can I talk?
Please, Karen, go ahead. Yeah.
So Rosemary, you'll remember that this has been going on since 2009. And the Parks Department has handled it from 2009 until we actually got to convince the DEP that this was a big project for them, because the Parks Department didn't have $63 million to figure out how to do the engineering, $140 million to actually construct it. They just got 20 million to do the project in their own park. This has not been designated as parkland because it's not owned by the city of New York. So all these things have to come to a head. And then there was a misjudgment between people about, getting back to CSX. The CSX guy died, a new person came. It's just like, if something could go wrong, it did go wrong. And so now we're in the middle of a real estate property dealing. That's what we're talking about. And, you don't do that out in the open. You do that, it's out in the open. I don't know how much money they had, but that was about it. But so they're negotiating the deal. It's getting close. It says that in your letter. It talks about the 20 million in the letter. Everything is up in the air and out and fresh and transparent. The thing is that they don't actually have a plan. We didn't see, did we see a plan, Bob? You see these pictures? This is what we saw.
This is what we're showing you what we know. This is what we saw.
There's no plan. They drew a line, that line could change. They have done all these calculations, but there's no plan.
So I'm going to take another question. I'm sure there's a lot of interest.
Bob, I just have to finish with it. It is it is very frustrating.
Yeah.
There are people in this city who are well aware of what the designs are and what the plans are. The community board knows nothing of this. Nothing. We know zero. At this moment, I'm a member of this community board, and that is where my interest lies. The community board has a right to have a presentation from the Parks Department and DEP to tell us where they are, wherever that may be. We have a right to that, and as a member of this community board, every community board member should be demanding that.
Okay, I will do my best with DEP. That's what I can do. Rosemary, thank you. And I hear you, and it is incredibly frustrating not to know anything. I want to know if there's another hand. And Rosemary, thank you for being that advocate for this board and for our right to know.
My job.
Thank you, Rosemary. Oh, Robin. Go ahead, Robin.
Hi, I listened to this presentation, and one thing at the very beginning, it sounded like this was going to solve the flooding problem. Then it said that there was a lot of water that comes in from Westchester. I made this surmise that it does.
Yep.
So what exactly flooding issue is this going to solve? And is it limited only to the park, or what is it going to actually do?
It's a great question. Great question. Karen's gonna amplify anything I say, but I'll tell you, yes, you're in a basin of the greater Westchester, which brings water. Remember how much water comes off the highway. Okay, I'm talking about 87 that floods the lake. Okay, and the water of the lake then is being routed into that very tiny weir. The weir routes that into the Broadway sewer. We are in a floodplain, a self-created floodplain, because that overflow lake is going into the Broadway sewer, making mincemeat out of our businesses and homes along Broadway. Okay, then running over, because there's no place for the water to go, onto the CSX property that you saw. That was the cause of the flooding of the Deegan. So it's coming from multiple directions. Then there is the water coming down from Kingsbridge Heights, which has zero green infrastructure along the right of way to interrupt and intercept the high flow water. Remember how fast that water flows down that topography because of the elevation. So that is making a perfect basin for flooding, all those places that water is coming from. Now, it's so imperative that the water I'm sorry, the stream be daylighting, because this will be a continuation, in a sense, of the original Tibbetts Brook that used to go all the way to Spite and Dibble. All right. So this is an artificial redirection, you might say, and we have to. Karen, what is the reduction? The CSO, the reduction that's planned for this? Is it 320 MGD? What is the reduction that's planned? I forget, for daylighting. Karen will get that. The DEP has a number for this, but
It's 1.6 billion gallons of water a year. It's
1.6. Yeah.
it's a lot of water that's coming down. But basically the topography is the Major Deegan Expressway goes from 215 feet above sea level. That's like high, very high. And at a little bit past West 238th Street, like where BJ's is, it goes
Yeah.
down 6. It goes down to 6 feet above sea level. So the water's, if the sewer is full and the drains on the highway are full, all that, first of all the water is going from the highway into the park. Then if it can't get through because it's full, then it's going to go into the highway.
Yeah.
No place else to go.
Jody, you have your hand up. Thank you, Robin. I hope that answers your question about where's the water coming from. Basically,
But we
the
are going to
answer is
discuss flooding later on. So
we have a flooding topic. Answer is everywhere, Robin. Thank you. Jody.
Hey there, thanks Karen for the presentation. It was good to see those plans from the Bronx Link to the Hudson Valley Greenway Committee back in the 90s.
Yeah, right.
And a couple of ideas came up back then. One of the big issues, I did notice a slide said that the Empire State Trail included the Hudson Valley Greenway. That's because the Putnam, as it continues through Westchester, by legislation is in the Greenway for Westchester,
Right.
but Van Cortlandt Park is not. So,
Jody, I think that the rule says that any place in the county.
That is not for New York City. It is west of, it's in the coastal zone area only. So it doesn't include all of our county. That was for Westchester and above. And when they added New York City to it in the update to that legislation, it only allowed part of it. I was on the original committee that did a lot of the research. I took Gail on many of the tours to walk all these sites. One of the ideas that did come up during that, because daylighting was poo-pooed back then, was DEP had suggested they just run a pipe all the way straight down to the Harlem, skip the sewer line, and that they would build the bicycle lane and the recreational trail that Rosemary mentioned on top of the pipe because it was quicker down and dirty. So I think that part of it is to make sure that we get the daylighting because it has more ecological benefits than just short circuiting out of the sewer system straight into the river. So that was one thing. And then the other thing is technology has changed a lot. I was on a presentation for Greenwood Cemetery, and they actually have lakes that overflow as well. And they divert some of the water from that lake. Instead of it going into the sewer, it goes into the sewer like Van Cortlandt Lake does. They divert it to irrigation, to washing vehicles. So I would just like to, in part of the plans for the lake and the flooding and diverting the water, is to see if we could also get some reuse benefits and not just piping it into the river or daylighting it. And they also have valves where they lower the level of the lake, and BBG has that at their lake as well. Before a storm, they lower the lake level by diverting the water into these storage tanks that they use for irrigation, et cetera, so that the lake can absorb more water during the storm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So,
that's good. You know, we have a big problem because there is a lot of water here, as everybody knows. And so we need to figure out ways to absorb water every place we can, in the park, on the highway, every place we can. And so like 1.6 billion gallons of water, I thought they wouldn't have enough water to get to the river. That's not going to be the problem. The problem is they can't like just throw all the water down into the thing. You know, they have to put it in gently, I guess, so it doesn't overflow and ruin everything. But we need to find places in the park. That's good, the
well,
conversation with the park about their
Karen,
design. Yeah,
but
That's
Karen,
why I
that's what
keep
I'm talking
coming
about.
back
There's
to
golf courses that need to be
Yes,
irrigated.
right.
Jody, that comes back to wetlands restoration in the park as well.
Right,
The golf
right.
course is a huge offender there. And then you've got this new ribbon of parks that are being restored south that run contiguous or parallel to the new trail, the Harlem River Greenway there, Tibbetts Tail and what's the park right above it, right in back of Stop and Shop? It's a blank. I'm blanking on it right now. Everybody knows it. I'm so sorry. North of
Bailey Playground.
yeah, Bailey. Yeah. So there's need for green space there all along there, and obviously the irrigation idea is great. I like. Let's continue
So
that.
one more question. Is,
Go ahead.
since you did show that the biggest piece of the watershed is in Westchester,
Yeah.
is there a collaboration on this project with trying to divert some of the water from Westchester into Westchester before it gets into the Bronx?
Well,
Not
And
that I know, Jody. Not that I
I
know
know,
at the moment.
we actually, BCQ has asked for a meeting with the state to talk about not just Westchester, but the highways, all those highways, the Major Deegan, the Henry Hudson, the Sawmill, and the
Marshall Extension.
all four of them discharge water into Van Cortlandt Park,
Right.
into the wetlands. And so it's like everything is just pouring onto the park. The park was in a big mess. It cost them a lot of time and money to get it back, get all the trails back to where they were supposed to be. And so, in my opinion, that is not appropriate to discharge water. It's not appropriate to discharge water and not have it treated or slow down so it doesn't do so much erosion damage. You need to do it. It's a modern age and things have changed. And so I'm trying to get the state it's a state issue because the state regulates the permits for discharges. And so I'm trying to get that meeting together. It's like, you know, we had too many things to do.
So
So
we have a big agenda, everybody. I am going to say this, that this is of such paramount importance, drainage and water and daylighting. So Karen and I will be making a commitment to you as an audience and a committee of ENS that we will hold down this water working group update on a semi-regular basis as we get information about all these great ideas. Especially, I think what's really interesting is that the connection to Westchester. But there are issues here that of news and of policy at the same time. We are going to just commit to telling you whatever we know, and by we I mean an environmental organization, a person, or board members of BECQ, and the water working group will be on the agenda on a regular basis for that purpose.
but I just want everybody to know that the environmental groups asked the state to turn down the city's
Yeah.
plan for the open waters, which would have killed the daylighting project. And so we needed to spend a lot of
We
energy
intervened.
necessary to get them to understand what we're talking about and why it's so important to us. So
to reaffirm DEC's commitment to this so that they would not give DEP a hard time and keep this damn project hostage for another 10 years.
yeah.
Rosemary, is your hand up from
Yes,
before?
just what I want to just, you're finishing up on this item, and I just want to say one final thing. It is worthy that you have people working on this in your committee and report to your committee periodically. I
Yeah.
am saying this is a board issue. This is a full board issue. And I will consistently ask at every meeting and every board meeting, I want and request specifically the two agencies to come and make presentations to the appropriate committees, so people in the community at large can see where they are and can ask questions about it.
You have
I
been
will
heard.
continue to ask for that.
Right, Remdot, Parks Chair has his hand raised. I'm just gonna lower your hand, okay, Rosemary? Thank you.
I did, I
Ramdot, go
just
ahead.
did.
Thank you. Go ahead, Remdot.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Karen. Thank you so much for the presentation. And to just echo Rosemary, whenever the two agencies decide to come to us and give us a presentation, I would like to propose for both of our committees to do a joint committee meeting, to be able to have that presentation done.
Good, okay. Laura desires this as well. We are aiming for joint, okay? That's what I need to tell you. And we are making this happen. This is one of Laura's top priorities. Laura, would you like to reaffirm that?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to have it. We don't have the month right now, but we're going to have it. We've
Okay.
had it before where it was mainly on the acquisition and the update on that. And now it will be expanded. Absolutely.
I think we need details. We need design, we need direction. What Rosemary said, what we've showed you here.
No,
just
don't
a
ask
little
for
taste of the
details because they may not have it. Just ask for a report.
overview, yeah, where they are now. Okay,
Right.
got it. Okay, so I need to give you an update on NYSERDA's renewable energy program. Okay, this is a little bit of a arcane issue that from the state level, but our committee has a unique perspective on this. About a year ago, if you may remember, we hosted a meeting of the director of climate change for New York State, and she told us about the impact of this Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act of 2019, if you all remember. Her name was Ms. Maureen Letty. And at that meeting, she said that there are new renewable energy targets and new emissions, carbon emissions targets that this legislation enjoins. Lo and behold, a year later, the public authority known as NYSERDA created a request for proposals for companies to build renewable energy lines from Canada to Queens. All right. So again, this was a new RFP, request for proposals, to build both transmission lines and huge converter stations that convert direct current to alternating current. And everyone was wondering a very important thing. Number one, who was going to be selected for this private enterprise? Remember, this is private enterprise. These are private companies who will be building transmission lines and power stations. Number two, where would these be built? Okay, because you're talking about potential disruption to communities. You're talking about potential installations in communities. And it was very clear, having been chair of the Croton Filtration Monitoring Committee, having been chair of the board, that we were at a capacity level here in the Northwest Bronx in Community Board 8, having had the city's water filtration plant put in our park. And if they were going to think about citing anything in our district, we were going to have a lot to say about that. Now that goes for the entire Bronx as well. You could just imagine the burden that the Bronx feels having all kinds of industrial facilities in communities, and now we may have power stations. So the state on, what is that, September 16th? When was that? The governor announced the awarding of a contract to two parties. One is called Chippy, and it's Champlain Hudson Power Express Company, and another company is called Clear Path. So together, these two companies will be building the transmission lines. We got an invite to speak with them. They reached out to the community boards. They have a public relations group who's making community engagement all the way from Canada to Queens. I'm not kidding. Every county, and in New York City, every community board. Our board was contacted to set up such a meeting. I know the issue extremely well, so I didn't need to get the briefing, and I didn't want the briefing at the community board meeting. What I wanted was a commitment from the Champlain Hudson Power Express consortium that they would come to our ENS meeting so that you all can see the plans and what this whole project is about. So I am going to propose that
Could
they
you
come
unshare that screen?
with
Okay.
everyone's agreement. I would like to propose that we put this on the agenda for November. It will be given by the CEO of the development company who is going to be building these. Okay. Please pay attention to this story. Keep up with it because there are two companies. There are environmental impacts, but they are not all conventional under the conventional means that we are used to, which is the state and in the city environmental quality reviews. There are U.S. Department of Energy reviews. There are Army Corps engineer reviews. Many things which circumvent our traditional environmental impact process. You just have my commitment that I will be constantly looking for any action that falls under SECRA or City or State Environmental Quality Act, which does involve the public and often community boards. So I will schedule that. We had a good meeting just to get acquainted, but I'm going to invite them, and it's a really important issue. There's been some Bronx Talk shows on this subject. I invite you to Google that and get up to speed on it. I was on a panel as a BCQ board member about the implications of this project and really the guessing game that we all have right now about where these installations will be built. So there's some background on that.
Jody has her hand up.
Go ahead, Jody. Thank you.
Bob, we actually faced exactly this issue of a converter station in Community Board 8, the Public Service Commission. Once they approve this transmission, it overrides all zoning. So they approved a project called the Empire Connection, which would have had included a 3.5 acre footprint, 155 foot tall converter station on the Spuyten Duyvil Triangle. I did fight that and made them not do it, but it still is on the books as approved. So just be careful because the Public Service Commission, if they approve it, it waived all zoning, SNAD, everything.
Yes, that's what I was saying,
You
yes.
know, so you have to
um,
watch that. And the community board at the time, Brad Treback was chair of Environment and Sanitation. We filed to have the community board be a party to it so that they were notified for everything that happened.
Yep. Jody, just to let everybody know that the Public Service Commission started today hearing to certify these contracts. Okay.
Yeah,
for
I
these
was on
two
the
parties.
call. I was
And
on.
right, as of now, there is a 60-day period to comment. This, I will just say, we are literally getting crayon drawings. Remember what DEP showed us before, the crayon drawings? We really have crayon drawings about routing and siting right now. As of now, I don't want to preempt our November meeting, but as of now, there does not seem to be landfall in Community District 8. That does not mean that there are not river impacts and therefore impacts to our riverfront communities. That does not mean that. But as of now, there's no landfall in this district. But again, we're just working from records that are literally changing at the moment. Karen reported that they made a change on the spot today to
Yeah.
make landfall in Albany.
Yeah.
And we were reading EISs that the Department of Energy approved in April. I mean, which is like yesterday in EIS territory. So we really have both a moving target and inadequate and non-sighting for you. I can't offer you maps unless you just want to search for yourself. But we'll be coming back to this huge issue. Always good to know what the Public Service Commission does. Remember, 60 days from now, take a look. We'll be involved. Everybody who is involved in areas of the Bronx who potentially make landfall will be very busy with that. And that's, I will be busy with that.
Bob, can
So-
I make a request?
Georgia, yep.
It would be very helpful if in the minutes, when you mention these things if you provide links so that we can also look at what the board is looking at. You know, the Chippy, a link to the Chippy project or the other one. So if that would be really great if you could just, because you send them out as PDFs, to include links to the things that we're discussing.
Okay. Yep. So the keys that you want to look for, everybody, is NYSERDA Tier 4, which was the request for proposals. And then right now you're seeing a lot. Chippy, which is the Champlain, the Canadian group, is very public. They're everywhere and they are showing a lot. I'll definitely get you some
Because
information.
they're ready. That's
They're
why we
ready.
got it. They're
We
ready.
know why. Yes, they've been ready for years, but that's another subject. Karen, we don't
Yeah.
want to open up that can right now.
Right.
All right. So item 6 on our agenda, discussion of the mayor's stormwater management resiliency report. I'm going to shift slightly. Now, what I would like to do is not here is I'm going to share our screen for a moment. I am going to change up on you and show you the new normal. This is actually stormwater resiliency. Just let me show you this report, everybody. Um, and the New York City Stormwater Resiliency Plan is a mayoral publication from the Office of Resiliency. It's now named the Mayor's Office of Climate Resiliency. And this is mandated by City Council every 4 years. This is a big kahuna kind of project. There's actually something that's better for me to look at. So what I need to do is move this thing so I can open up the other document that I want. And I can't move this. This is a pain. Oh my God, is this a pain right now? It's called the new normal. And I did send it to our committee members. And I have it open. The only reason I can't open it for you is because the Zoom legend, there's Eric, is in the way. How do we get rid of this stupid thing? So I can go to my next tab. Oh, I know what to do. I'll get rid of this. Okay. I should move it along. There you go. See, I solved my own problem there. I just got rid of another document. All right. So everybody, this is IDA related. And what I'm presenting here is a really immediate response from the city of New York to IDA. And this may in fact be the Deegan. I'm not sure. As you know, last month, Deb and Karen subbing for me had a joint meeting on the flooding of the Deegan. And this makes for really interesting reading. And what I'm going to do is recommend this, and I'm going to tell you a few things about our plan for November. So our November meeting will be geared towards 2 issues. Number one, we are seeking to get reports from the agencies who attended in September to tell us what is your plan for mitigating and alleviating flooding on the Deegan. Okay. Number two, I'd like everybody to take a good look at this document between now and then, because there are significant things being said here and decided that we should really figure out how we want to participate and what we want to say. I want to bring you to page 14. So one thing to know is that there is a task force. I'm going fast here because I've read it. And you can see the task force is all city agencies. Here, this is intra-agency. I don't see CERT. I don't see community boards. I don't really see things that relate to the public. Okay, so this to me already is something to think about, everybody, apropos of community board engagement, because we're the ones who actually have borne the brunt of the flooding. Okay, so I think we have stakeholder status here, and there is no stakeholder category. Odd. Okay, number two, so that's one issue. Okay, the question of stakeholders, apropos of community board engagement. Now I'd like to go to just a summary. I just want everybody to take a look at their responses. And I want to direct everybody's reading as we prepare for next month from pages 14 to 18. And I'm going to just let you, I'm getting a request from our city council member, Eric, to speak up. Eric, please, the floor is yours.
Hello, I know I just popped on to say hello. I know Enzo shared the exciting news and gave the update about composting, which is back in all of CB8. So we're very excited. And Bob, I want to thank you and the community board and BCEQ for your help in community outreach. We did a lot of outreach to the community members and of course to working with DSNY, and we got it. So there's still work to do in order to make it citywide, in order to bring it back citywide, but we kind of did the thing that we wanted to happen. And there was a lot of desire to have this back in CB8, and we did it. So I'm really happy about that. Happy to share that news. We'll be getting the exact date, I think mid to late November, if I'm not mistaken. I do want to tell you just one other piece of legislation that I co-sponsored, requiring the Department of Environmental Protection to create a program to provide financial assistance for the purchase and installation of backwater valves. So this should be helping in homes and businesses that experience a lot of basement flooding after Ida. And I know you're talking about that now.
I'm looking on the list, Eric. Is it here? Because that's important.
Yes, they were talking about it this afternoon. They had a hearing. The city council had a hearing this afternoon.
No, I know. I was on it. I'm on the
Oh,
Parks
I
Committee.
didn't. Yeah, I missed it. I missed the talk.
Yeah,
But
and
talked about it.
Eric, I'd like to go over this laundry list here with you, since you're on the committee at some point, and figure out what we can do to move along and prioritize. We're going to be doing a real granular read of this in November, by the way. So please come back in November. We're going to have city and state agencies dealing with the basin known as the Mejigan, and it's all about daylighting, as we know. But
yes.
I believe it's on the list here. So any news or priorities you have, we want to hear, because we really need you, and we thank you for all your support. I believe that daylighting is on our list here.
So I'll just so I just want to share what I share at kind of every single meeting, is that if anyone on this call has more hyper local needs, like it's always flooding by your apartment building, you should call 311 and then let us know that number, because on a very local level we can help make sure DEP comes and checks to clean the catch basins if that's the issue. But more broadly, as if you were hearing the meeting today, the DEP talked a lot about green infrastructure, bioswales, rain gardens. Now, I already had this conversation with them a couple months ago, and they were a little more resistant to installing things like bioswales and green infrastructure, rain gardens in the Northwest Bronx. So I'm gonna, especially based on today's testimony, I'm gonna be going back to them and finding the places where they could be installed, finding the money to do that.
Eric,
but again, that comes from you communicating with us, the areas. If you know a local area, definitely communicate that with me in my office.
Eric, we will. We have actually a high flow map. We have a hilltop plan focusing on Kingsbridge Heights. Obviously, as well as Broadway has real need, and Bailey need for great infrastructure. So we have to get in that right-of-way program. That's all there is to it. We have been starved from that. They claim that the bedrock is not friendly to it, but we need it. Obviously, we are underway.
Yep.
Thank you.
I met with them before Ida, before the Deegan flooded. So I think I wish that never happened, but I hope that since it happened, it changes the conversation. But I got that bedrock nonsense as well.
You got the same thing. Yeah, thank you. Everybody, apropos of what the council members said, I want to show you something, and this disturbed me very much. So this is the end of this report, everybody, this item, because this is going to be a November issue. I want you to take a look at this. Ida, most impacted community districts, page 23, everybody, on your map. Look, okay, Bronx 8, that is not true. That is not accurate. Okay, we were underwater. And you know what this is measured by? 311 calls. I've heard, Laura has told me about reports of flooding. We're not sure if we are getting all the adequate reports of flooding. I can't believe that we are not higher or more redder, I should say, or more rusty on this map. And it really does have to do with reports. So as the council member said, I cannot say enough about the importance of that call. Any weather-related event. Karen is going to share with you a survey that our water working group is reviving again on that issue. But I can't tell you enough about how important this is. So we had two questions, one from Robin, one from Jody, and then Karen will share that our famous survey. Okay. So Robin,
I emailed it to you.
thank you. Okay, Robin, do you want to take this one? Go ahead.
I do have a question, but I'll make a comment. It's in terms of 311 calls, I'm not sure whether this is accurate anymore or not, but you know, in the past, if you called up 311 and you were trying to sell your place, then that was going to be a ding against your sale of your place. So a lot of people are not making telephone calls to 311 to declare that they got flooded. I know on my floor there were only, I believe, 311 calls, and we probably have at least 10 apartments on the first floor that got flooded. But here's my question. The councilman mentioned that there were backwater valves that are going to be part of the solution. How does an apartment building get their hands on that or get involved in that?
It's legislation that I've sponsored. It hasn't passed yet. The hearing about the legislation was just this morning or afternoon, this afternoon.
Right.
So it's let me just look at what the text actually says. It requires that the Department of Environmental Protection to establish a program. So the program is not even established. So I couldn't tell you how how to get your hands on one.
And thank you. And what's interesting is, I think it was on the previous call, the DEP said, Riverdale had no issues. Where my building is, where I'm a tenant in the building, that they didn't have any flooding issues. It wasn't caused by the city pipes.
Absolutely. Eric, we have a problem because we're not getting the reports that we need. It's not showing.
So
up
we're
on
gonna
the
help. We're gonna have a survey. That's gonna be the next item on the agenda. And the survey is for people to fill out and send the information to the community board. We could have the community board. We could also share it with Eric and establish a series of areas where people have real complaints, because
clusters, yeah.
Yeah. And we're also going to compare what happened in 5 or 6 years ago and see if anything got better or worse. So
Karen, two questions, Jody and David, and then we'll show the survey. Jody, go ahead.
Hey there. So I actually went to a Zoom presentation from the Mayor's Office of Resiliency about the new normal plan. Yeah. So it is an acceleration of the stormwater plan, yeah, right. But they also came out with a map. Well, we've seen all the coastal flooding maps, but they came up with an inland flooding map.
That's interesting.
And I said to them, well, I know a bunch of spots in my district that flooded inland and constantly flood, like the Deegan, and these aren't included. And they said the same thing that we're hearing is they only can use the information that the community is giving them. So I'll have to dig up.
I'm going to shout this from the rafters, Jody, because we are underreported. We are undermapped and underreported.
But Jody, I want you to know that.
Can I finish first?
Yeah, wait.
Go ahead, Jody. Jody, finish your thought, and then
let me finish. So I will look up who that was, And she said that we could send photos of flooded areas directly to her in the Mayor's Office of Resiliency. So those pictures that you have of Van Cortlandt, I had mentioned that flooding. I mentioned 2727 Palisade, 3901, Independence Avenue. So I think that if we can get photo documentation from people to send in, that will help alert this. But our community, I mean, I've been here a very long time. I love everybody here. They're all characters, but we complain to each other.
Yeah.
We don't complain where it gets recorded. And the reason why you call 311 is because there's a database that is, it's called open data. You can go and look up those complaints and show a pattern of, look, we've had all these complaints. So I think that's a big key. You know, people, as Robin mentioned, oh, they're afraid it's going to affect their real estate values, but then nothing ever gets fixed.
Yeah.
And just one other addition to that, when we call DEP, they ask for the 311 number. So a lot, so people contact my office thinking, that we can help them, and we do, but we call DEP and the first thing they ask is, what's the 311 complaint number? So even if you're going to call my office for help, call 311 first.
How about a flood hotline number? I mean, how about that at this point? We're in a climate emergency. There should be a dedicated flood hotline number, so it's not bundled up in 311 with all those things. Anyway, I don't know if that's on the list. David, go ahead, please. Thank you. David.
Yes, Bob, these are very interesting reports. Thank you. I was hoping that you might be able to share them with us or link to them to us. And in fact, I'd also encourage you to maybe share it with the members of the board before next month's meeting, and maybe make an abbreviated presentation like this to the board to raise the awareness amongst the board members of these growing issues.
So David, we're going to take those pages that I showed and focus on it in November. This is kind of like an introduction. I'll certainly highlight this new normal report. And thank you, David. We're going to come back to it. I'll be issuing the whole report, but I've read it through and I kind of know where I want to go. The map really speaks volumes about the problems we have. I will certainly be bringing that up.
Jody, could you share with us, or at least with me, those reports or the links to them?
Sure, I sent it to my committee. I'll just forward it right to you. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And Jody, if you wouldn't mind sharing the name of the MOR contact that you have, because I'd like them actually to come and talk about this at our meeting.
Okay, I'll have to, I think I screenshot it. I'll have to look it up. But again, can you put those links in the minutes so that we can also see what other people are seeing?
Okay.
Thanks.
Good. All right. So that will be, we'll come back to this. And that really falls under the city's response. I think this leads us right to new old business. The flooding on the Major Deegan Expressway will be our next subject. I really did want to bring up the issue of the reports. And I'm really happy to hear about those photos, because we will make a full dossier. I will also distribute the presentation that Karen prepared for September, correct, Karen? That had some photos. So those will be part of the package I'm going to send out. These will go out to the full board, Laura, if that's okay. All right, and then that is November. And then curbside composting, the council member has been kind enough to come and himself to our meeting and talk about the success. We want to thank him again. Now we're going to move on to new business, and I have here the snow plan.
Wait a minute.
Well, oh, we didn't do the survey. Karen, my apologies.
Yeah, I mean.
What am I doing?
I don't know.
I forgot the survey. All right. So in order to address the reporting issue, we've done this. Karen, do you want to talk about?
So this is the old survey. Did I send you the new one? Oh, no, because that's a link.
This the old one?
That's the old one. So this is the old one.
These are for historians.
Yeah, and so it's not bad, but we want to make a couple of adjustments on it.
The new one is prettier.
Did you get the new one? Did I give you the link? I think it's a link.
Oh, no, okay. Everybody just a minute. There you go.
It has a different picture on it. Did you see it?
Is this
That's,
it?
that's it. You got it.
Okay, great, okay.
Okay, so what we'll do is send this out to I guess it's spelling, still something's wrong with the spelling up there. But we'll send this out for people to check the spelling of things and
What do you want me to change? It's
yeah, it doesn't
showing
want
up.
to change it. Okay.
I can
And
change.
and to look at what it says, it pretty much says everybody should report to 311. And then this is basically that question there. With this one is the one that I added a whole bunch of, is there flooding in the basement? Is there flooding in the street? Is it in front of that building? Is it in the back of the building? Is it clogged sewer on the road? You know, like to get more specific. Can you figure out what storm it was from? So I put these dates in. I don't know if anybody knows what the dates were for Henry over here and Fred.
I
only
do, yeah.
on the weather thing, I remember
Hold
it was
on,
on July 8th.
I gotta change this. Henri, not Henry.
Right. Do you know what date it was?
That's actually it, I think.
Okay, so anyhow, those are the dates that it was raining. It was, it was strong. So I made it a little bit more specific. And if everybody could look at it and see what they think, then we could probably have it ready to present to the board for, I don't know when,
Circulation, yeah,
I guess December, because we won't have it ready for November, right?
right. So Karen, do you want to start distributing this? Put it on Facebook?
No, we can't. We need approval from the committee.
Yeah, all right,
Somebody has to see this. They didn't see it even.
I know. So,
You want to show them some of the results from the last time, the results like what we did, we put it in the Excel.
Karen, why don't we put this on our agenda to review the results? I would like everybody, this is committee business. I will send this out and in advance for us to approve for November, okay?
I think, Bob, I think you may have to do it as BCQ. New York City has limitations to using Google to collect constituent data, unless you have a Google site.
No, we did do it. We did do it from BCQ. That's how we did it the last time.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because the community board is part of the city.
Understood.
Sanitation
Okay,
had to make their own Google site for security reasons.
got it. Okay, thanks. Okay.
But we also made copies. I made a one pager, which this might be more than one page now, so that people could download the PDF and fill it out and send it in. Like not everybody's on computers.
Karen, let's just do this with BCQ for the reason that, and present the results to the committee. I think that's easier.
Yes, but somebody has to read the survey.
It's time for bed.
These are old
results the old results that we got.
Okay, this would be a water working group report from BCQ to Community Board 8.
Right.
So we're not going to do this now, but it's definitely.
Well, no, we're not going to do it now, but eventually the survey has to go up on the board, on the board's webpage. And so we need to get the survey approved by the board, by our committee members, and then you have to, I think, show it to the board. I don't know.
I think what we do is I'll describe it to Laura and figure out how she wants to handle this, but I like the idea of BCQ issuing and then us coming back to the board in the form of results, okay, in an Excel sheet that we can easily, or whatever format we choose, to put into the minutes and then to be extrapolated as a standalone document for a website, or for our committee website, which we have. So that's not a problem.
So it's a job of the working water group. It's BCQ with the working water group.
And then the committee would adopt it and as part of the minutes for that whenever we do present findings, results, and then it becomes part of the community board's property.
Right. It was
so-
on the community board's webpage for a long time.
Yeah, yep. All right, so that's the way we'll handle that, everybody. And now I just wanted to talk about our last issue of the day is not the snow plan. I misunderstood Kira's request. Because sanitation works so well with us, they actually wanted to figure out about some trouble spots that they should know about for snow removal. So I'm open to suggestions about some chronic areas that need our help, extra help. I think they did a very decent job last year. There's a sanitation request for feedback on where routes are not getting plowed properly. Might
You
be
may
more-
want to cancel your screen share.
Oh, thanks, David. Oh, thanks, Dave. That was my email. Thanks.
Right. Fortunately, some of your off the edge subscriptions are noted there. So
There you
it's
go.
good.
Okay. All right. Good. Good. Thank you. You see, I'm as much of a city nerd as the next guy. Thanks. Thanks, David. I owe you one. But I'd love to hear some thoughts about snow routes, trouble spots, etc. Wow. The silence is deafening, meaning complaints. How about this? If anyone has a potential problem in their area, their neighborhood that they know is not getting adequate protection, I'll make this call at the community board meeting. I'll ask sanitation how long we can wait, but I'll say right now that we don't have a suggestion, and that we'll wait for the snow plan, I guess, when we get it, which we always
Deb has
review.
her hand up.
When
Oh,
she-
yeah, hey, Bob. I was just trying to think of like, areas that are always chronic. And I think probably the one that comes to mind the most are the step streets.
Ah,
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
That's because you're DOT minded. Excellent. And because you live in some on step streets. Fantastic. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right.
Wait.
Everybody, is there any other?
Wait, I got my hand up. I got my hand up.
Oh my God, yes.
It is a similar to the Step Street issue. Those are not plowing, it's actually manually shoveling. But the pedestrian walkway from Independence Avenue to Knowles Crescent on Capock Street, it goes under the tunnel, it goes under the highway. It's a narrow pedestrian walkway along Capock, and it is rarely shoveled. It's extremely dangerous, and it is the only way to get from there if you use a walker or have a mobility issue, because otherwise you have to climb stairs, which aren't shoveled either. So Capock
really
Street
important.
between Independence and Knowles Crescent.
Thank
The
I think
pedestrian walkway.
that's a DOT thing.
No, sanitation deploys the people, they hire people for like 16 to 20 bucks
Oh,
an hour
right,
to shovel.
right.
They shovel the step streets, they shovel all of that. So, so that, and then the other thing, just for future reference, if you were going to put this out, I did measure snow for the National Weather Service for many years, and people just complain they want to see asphalt 24/7. So there is a website where you can see when the snow plow passed the last time. There's actually a snowplow tracker. So maybe before snow season, maybe the committee could do a presentation from sanitation about how they plow the streets and preempt some of the complaints that there's snow on the street when the plow just passed and it's snowing 2 inches an hour.
Right. Thanks, Jody.
That's my snow.
There are two hands up, although I can't see who they use.
David and then Rose.
Yes,
Go ahead.
thank you. Frankly, in my observation, they've been pretty darn good, generally. I mean, of course, there have been exceptions. In fact, I was at a presentation that former Commissioner Catherine Garcia gave that November day, that morning, the day when everything went bad. But the reason why it went bad, frankly, was because it snowed during rush hour. Most of the time we get snow somewhere between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. when nobody's out, and the snow plows do a block in 7 seconds. That day, it took them 4 minutes per block because people are driving around. My point being, it would be useful if DSNY gave us sort of a list of recommendations of how we can help them, like don't be on the street during the snow and clear your driveway, or with this, that, or the other thing that we could post on our website and maybe share with the community in our November, December newsletter.
It's a good idea. How to help your sanitation. Good idea. I'm sure they have that publication too. Like stay
Now,
off
Rose,
the damn streets, right? Remember that famous one where we got socks?
In a
Everybody
few
thought-
words, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello?
Rose, hello,
No,
Rose. Go ahead.
Rose had her hand up.
Yep, Rose, go ahead.
Yes, I'm on. Mr. Fanucci, do you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear, Rose. Go ahead.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Oh,
We can hear you, Rose.
No, we can't.
Now she just froze.
Wow.
Or Rose, we got to come back to Rose.
Well, it is 9:08, so it's really time for somebody to make a motion.
I think we're in and out of here in a solid
Oh,
hour
we
and a half.
lost her. Oh, there she is.
Now
Okay.
she's back.
yes, yes, thank you again.
You're welcome.
First of all, this meeting has been very informative. This is my first time attending a community board meeting, and I just find this so interesting. But I would like to add that in terms of the snow plan, the streets in North Riverdale are not covered as well. Now, I
Yeah.
understand the main streets such as Riverdale Avenue must be covered and Broadway. But often what happens is that when the snow initially begins, the plows come through, and then we don't see them for maybe a day or so. When they come through again, all of the snow is plowed up against the cars. Our driveway is totally blocked. You know, I don't like to think of myself as elderly, but we are, and we have to get out onto the street in order to be able to walk. Most of our neighbors are very good about cleaning the sidewalks. But if you need additional support as to where we need help, we need it in the private streets in North Riverdale.
I am a resident of North Riverdale too, and I can't agree with you more because we do get that initial plow and then we don't see it again for it feels like a couple of days. We get one pass. So it's not just missing it, it's not coming back. So great comment, great. That's something that many of us might not think about. Thanks a lot, Rose, and do come back, okay? I think she's frozen again. All right, so is there any further new business? I think we've covered the waterfront today. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I believe we should adjourn.
All those in favor on the committee?
Oh, I second it as well.
All right. I want to thank you all for putting up with the technology problems today. We're back in business with ENS. Again, I want to thank Deb and Karen for filling in next month. Look for the minutes plus Jody. I heard you. Web addresses and documents. You'll have them in the minutes. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for a good meeting, and I'll catch up with you at the community board meeting. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Come on.
Bye-bye. Bye.